Cousins is now a member of the Steelers. After going 11-19, 2 seasons with the Broncos, he joins a Pittsburgh offense that had an NFL worst 25 passing touchdowns the last 2 seasons. Meanwhile, how about Baker Mayfield? He's back with the Buccaneers after leading them to a divisional round of the playoffs last season. Mayfield threw for a career-high 4,044 yards, 28 TD passes, and Kirk Cousins will look to help a Falcons offense that had fewer TD passes all season than he had in 8 games with the Vikings last year. Cousins could join Carson Palmer as the only player to throw for 4,000 yards with 3 different teams. Kirk, why is this new home the right fit for you? Talk to me.
Mike Shanahan told me a long, long time ago when I was in Washington that the key to winning and ultimately winning a Super Bowl is you got to have the owner, head coach, GM, and quarterback all on the same page. And if there's a breakdown in a link in that chain, it's tough to win a Super Bowl. And so I was looking for a place where I felt that the 4 of us could really all be able to trust each other to do our individual jobs and that it would take to win a Super Bowl. And as I look at Atlanta, I feel really good about the head coach, owner, general manager, and quarterback being on the same page. And that's really where it starts and ends. And from there, you look at a talented roster. You look at a great city to play for. You look at the fact that my wife is from Atlanta, and things just really aligned, and we're thrilled to be here.
Congrats to you, Kirk. All right, this is really interesting to me. You know, I love all the drama, all the storylines here before we get on the field. So which quarterback, Mad Dog, do you feel like is under more pressure? Is it Russell Wilson with the Steelers or Kirk in Atlanta?
Plus the fact he took a shot at the Viking coach. O'Connell's a better coach than Morris. He's proven that he's a better coach. And he said owner, GM, coach, and quarterback. On and now, Morris has got a lot to prove compared to O'Connell, who's a quarterback guru, who's done a very good job. Plus, you're getting on the Wolves, who own the Vikings, compared to Arthur Blank, who owns Atlanta. I'm a little surprised.
And the GM, I think also the GM is probably the main one he was talking to, because a couple of years ago, Kirk Cousins, the GM kind of suggested that Kirk Cousins wasn't going to be the guy.
Maybe there's something to that.
Yes.
Maybe the GM. Maybe the GM's got. But I'm a little surprised of how he handled that because O'Connell is his buddy and he's a good coach. To me, Cousins has a tremendous amount of pressure on him. Russell Wilson had pressure when he went to Seattle. Because that trade was Denver, from Seattle. That trade was a huge, they gave up a lot to get him. He was making a fortune. Hackett, he was looked at as a savior. That's where the pressure point was for Wilson. Now that he hasn't played that great, he goes to Pittsburgh. He's got Tomlin, good organization. It's almost like a house money thing for him. Cousins got paid another $100 million. He got paid an absolute fortune to a franchise that has an old owner. He's 82 years old, Arthur Blank, wants to win, has never won anything, and he is coming off an injury, which is another thing, who has, as you alluded to yesterday nicely and beat me, with only one postseason win.
Yes.
So to me, I don't think it's even a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have pressure to win a championship or at least make a deep run. I think you're right. But the pressure that I think Russell is probably feeling is entirely different, and I think it's bigger. The pressure is, what's his place going to be in football history? Russell Wilson was like Hall of Fame track player, one of the best players in football. Everyone was saying, let Russ cook. The Seahawks are holding him back. Then he went to this Broncos team that had a good roster, but it seemed like they were positioning themselves to get Aaron Rodgers, and they didn't. So they went with Russell instead, and then he had a horrendous season, which everyone can blame on the coach or blame on everyone else, but Russell also played really poorly. Then last year it didn't feel like he had a fair chance because it felt like Sean Payton came in there with his mind made up that he was rebuilding this roster, and Russell was one of the problems from the old regime that he was going to move on from. So I do think that there's a tremendous amount of pressure on Russell because it's going to determine how we remember him. Are we going to remember him as someone who had a good run early in his career but really ultimately wasn't all that good? Or are we going to remember him as someone who had a great early career, went into a debacle that ruined the midpoint of his career, and then actually came back and resurrected one of the great franchises, or not resurrected, they're not dead, but pushed them, one of the great franchises, back up to the place where they feel like they belong. He's playing for that. He's playing for whether he gets a Hall of Fame speech or not, or what he's going to say in that Hall of Fame speech. He's playing for a lot more than I think Kirk Cousins is because, as you mentioned, Kirk got paid a bunch of times. He's done those things. And Atlanta, as much as I'm sure Arthur Blank and Falcons fans won a championship, they're not the same as far as the history of the game as the Steelers are. What Russell can do there means a lot.
You know what, Dominique?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a fair point. That's a smart point.
Don't sound so surprised.
No, I'm going to give you your flowers. How he will be remembered. That is very important. But again, you're wrong. But I just have 3 questions to prove why you're wrong. Is Russell Wilson the starter in Pittsburgh?
Not right now.
Okay. But we know Kirk Cousins is, right?
Yes.
Okay, number 2. What are the expectations for the Steelers versus what are the expectations for the Falcons?
Steelers win a playoff game.
What are the expectations for the Falcons?
I think also win a playoff game.
Just a playoff game? That's what the expectations are when
win a Super Bowl.
When you make the splashiest of splashiest free agent moves to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
You think
I think the expectations are win a Super Bowl, but I think Kirk Cousins can have.
There you go. Win a Super Bowl. Thank you. Okay, last question. How much guaranteed money is Kirk Cousins getting?
I'm not here to take a quiz.
I'm just saying, 100 million, right?
A lot. Yeah.
Guaranteed. So I rest my case. That is why Kirk Cousins, because here's the thing, you're talking about how will Russell be remembered. Kirk Cousins is at a point in his career where he just signed a 4-year deal with $100 million guaranteed. He's not trying to leave this game looking like, you know what? Kirk wasn't really the star. His agent was. He's the finesse king of the NFL. He's not trying to leave the game like that. Kirk even coming off the Achilles, which I don't think will hinder him as much because he's not like some mobile guy. He's a pocket passer. But he's coming into a situation where it's home, it's family. He's looking at the Vikings like, oh, yeah, they didn't really want me. It felt very much like I was a year to year, but I'm better than that. And now he's going to a situation in Atlanta where they're saying, we want you to take us to the promised land of the Super Bowl. Yeah. And that's on his plate. So they're not bringing him there just to win a playoff game.
The expectations for Kirk are a lot lower. And I think what they've experienced as far as quarterback play has been so bad that they'll be satisfied with Kirk Cousins being good enough to get them to the playoffs and winning.
It's a lot lower because you feel like the team situation, where you feel like Pittsburgh's in a position to actually make a run. If they can plug and play and he can play quarterback well, they can go the distance. But if Kirk plays well, how far do you think Atlanta's even going?
Yeah, I think Atlanta can go far if Kirk plays well. I think they can make
what's
it to
far?
NFC Championship. I think they can
Atlanta.
I do. I don't agree with your man Stephen A. that we're overreacting about this move. I think that it's a big enough move and the talent there is important. But I do think that the noise around the Steelers is we got to win a playoff game. Like they're getting tired of Mike Tomlin. That's not what we're hearing in Atlanta. Atlanta is, please give us a quarterback. Anybody that can play quarterback for us, please. They got one.
Paying Russell Wilson nothing.
Yeah, I don't think that matters.
That's different. That's different when we talk about pressure. $1.2 million versus $100 million?
It's not the same. The pressure, and we're not talking about the money at this point. The money doesn't matter for either of these guys. They're paid.
Don't matter.
I mean, not for them. They're paid.
But the fans, it matters.
Yeah, I do.
Because a lot of people think that Cousins has been overpaid his whole career anyway. So this is a chance to sort of undo that. But I think I'm with you. But Dominic
no. Hey, stay with me. Stay with me, Mad Dog.
Dom made a great point about historical legacy with Wilson. Because before
why
Denver...
Why you sound so surprised that I make sense?
You mean like if he's trying to become a Hall of Famer?
Well, I think he was a Hall of Famer before he went to Denver. I think these 2 years in Denver, which were not great, obviously hurts him Hall of Fame.
I'm not shocked that I'm the only one here that cares about history. I'm not surprised because you young Rudy Poos don't care about the things that the game were built on. I personally,
the legacy point's phenomenal. How far?
Good point.
Okay, let's pretend both these guys play really well. How far? He has Atlanta in the NFC Championship game.
I think
is that a little aggressive?
A little.
Okay.
I think Atlanta. Here's what I would say about Atlanta. Win the division, win a home playoff game.
Okay.
Get to a divisional round. If they lose to the Niners, you'll live with it. Pittsburgh, in a tough conference, I would think for them would probably, wow, that's a good question.
There's another.
What is the barometer
What is it for the Pittsburgh? What do they need to do?
I think they want to win a playoff game. And I think that there's a couple different ways to measure this question. We explored 2 of them. The other one is by pressure, how much is they actually going to have to do? How much pressure is on them? And you look at what you have in Atlanta and you think that there is less pressure on Kirk Cousins. They have a good offensive line. They have talented running back, talented tight end, talented receiver.
Sir.
And in Pittsburgh, it's a little different. They have an up and down receiver. They have an offensive line that's improved, but it's not great. And they have 2 pretty good running backs.
You and I just talked on Get Up about Russell Wilson, the diminished player. Right now, he just needs to be a point guard if he's in that offense. He just needs to distribute the ball. Just get it to your running backs. Get it to Najee. Get it to Jalen. Throw it deep to George Pickens. And the idea that Russell is going to be asked to take over this offense.
Whose weapons would you rather have? Whose offense outside the quarterback would you rather have? Since you asked me questions, I asked you questions. Whose offense would you rather have?
I'm not here to take a quiz.
All right, so that means I'm right. So the fact of the matter is, less is going to be asked of Kirk Cousins than you were.
But there's more pressure on him because he's in a division that they should win.
Absolutely.
And he's making.
That's also an argument that there's less pressure. You're going up against bad teams. This is less pressure.
If you don't win that division, though, and you're Kirk Cousins, that's a disaster.
And they are not guaranteed to win that division.
New barber?
No, I just cut it off. I was tired of it. It was long.
It looks good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
why are you changing the subject? We're having a nice discussion.
Well, I saw Dominican barber?
No, he's not, though.
Really?
They are talented.
See, this is why Steven gets on you. You see?
What?
Because Dominique, now we're pumping him up. He's feeling good, feeling himself.
He's got a nice spring outfit
The fact of the matter is, I'm a cornerback. I feel this way about myself all the time.
You do.
You can't do nothing. You can moss me. I'm gonna still think I'm great.
That is true. You're right about
This is a big year for Cousins.
You can. I mean, someone
Cousins has to have a big year, win a playoff game.
And what about Russell?
I don't feel the same way about him.
Are you just not like, is that move not exciting and sexy
Not
to
to
you?
me.
Like, you
I
just
think
don't
it's
really
I think
care?
it's a flyer for the Steelers. Yeah. I think with C, he's better than Pickett. Yeah. It's a tough division.
You're right.
We had to do something. Let's take a chance.
It's a flyer.
Let's take a chance.
Let's take a chance.
Atlanta, they made this move to win.
Hey,
that's
you're
why
preaching
it's,
to the
that's
choir,
why to me it's
baby.
more significant.
What do you think of the Giants move, Burns?
Great move for the Giants.
Gave him an awful lot of money.
Pass rushers, they matter. Are you saying that the Giants don't need somebody to get after pass rush?
They need some offense.
When they win a chance,
we need
their
a lot.
Super Bowls, their Super Bowls were based on Lawrence Taylor and that defensive line getting a lot of sacks.
I'm losing you, doggy. Come back to me, because now you're going off the deep end
that's
again.
not entirely correct.
Yes, it is.
It wasn't 86 with their great defense.
That
they
D-line.
won in 90 because they held the ball for 40 minutes against the Buffalo defensive line because Otis Anderson ran all over the place. And then they beat the Patriots. Manning has the great fourth quarter.
Twice.
They make lots of plays.
Twice.
And then they beat him again. He makes the play to Manningham.
What was the?
Be fair.
They had one unit on that team that was better than everyone else.
Defensive line against
Thank
the
you.
Patriots.
That's
I'll
all.
grant you that.
That's all. That's all I'm saying. There was one difference-making unit on that team. It was the defensive line. The same thing with Lawrence Taylor. I hate being right all the time. It's exhausting.
All right, let's go to break.
Where's your almanac? Because
He's too
Dominic
young.
can't come in here
He's too young.
dropping history lessons on you, mad dog.
Well, he can't.
right.
Don forgot about Otis Anderson with 100.
Guys, I love you. We did 40 minutes straight. Can I get a commercial break?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
We took a break
Let's
already.
pay some bills.
Let's take another.
Okay.
After the NBA.
Well, it felt like, you felt like 40 straight.
You lost.
All right, I need another break.
Hello, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Chào mọi người nha. Ngày hôm nay là một ngày đẹp trời, nên mình sẽ tô một sản phẩm đẹp nhất để cho mọi người xem. Và các bạn thấy hay, hãy cho mình một lượt like và một lượt đăng ký kênh để ủng hộ mình. Mình cảm ơn các bạn rất là nhiều. Và bây giờ mình sẽ đi thôi vào thôi.
Công việc không có tiền. Bây giờ mình sẽ tiếp tục đi tô mò nha các bạn nhé. Ông mua hẳn cái túi à? Tặng. Đấy. Tặng. Bao nhiêu tiền? Tôi giải phí là cho chị Lan thì sao tôi mấy mình. Đây. Rồi mấy đây vẫn tập thể rồi. Đấy thôi được rồi. Được. Thế chạm thế là được rồi. Đó là được. Mình đùa ta. Mình sạch sạch tiền đó. Có được đâu. Thế nó lỏng thế. Bao nhiêu tiền? Mua trên TikTok à? Đấy. Nghe luôn đi cái gì cắt làm cái đâu. Cắt đầu. Nghe luôn cho nó 10. Mày thích nghe bên nào? Bên này ngược mà. Bên kia. Ta bảo theo bên này cái mày đi ta để này. Thôi. Rồi đem bên kia đi, đem bên kia đi bên này nó giỏi. Mày đánh rơi nó được. Đem bên này chặt hơn bên kia. Đừng đi. Cái giá thôi. Nghe được không? Tạt cái. Được á. Làm tiếp. Mạnh mẹ bố mẹ đang quay một cái trò to thì đi sách tải với mày. Đừng có nghe thấy. Bao nhiêu tiếng? Đã nghe rồi mà biết. Giờ phải hết pin mới biết được chứ. Nó không xài. Xài cái cắm ra kia. Được không? Đấy. Không. Sặc đẻo. Sặc đẻo rồi. Vứt đi. Vứt thì không. Hai củ đẻo. Lấy củ khác. Đây, củ đây. Mạnh à? Mày đùa tao à? Vậy là mình đã đi tô màu xong các bạn thấy tô màu đẹp hay cho xin like đăng ký kênh rồi tất cả các bạn rất nhiều.
Hello, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Chào mọi người nha. Ngày hôm nay là một ngày đẹp trời nên mình sẽ tô một sản phẩm đẹp nhất để cho mọi người xem. Và các bạn thấy hay, hãy cho mình một lượt like và một lượt đăng ký kênh để ủng hộ mình. Mình cảm ơn các bạn rất là nhiều. Và bây giờ mình sẽ đi tô màu thôi.
Bây giờ mình sẽ tiếp tục đi tô màu nha các bạn nhé. Vui. Đánh giá một sao. Chả đánh giá không. Được mỗi cái tai nghe. Nó cho kia là ngon. Hoa kè người giải sạc đi luôn nè. Cấm đơn. Cái này có sửa được không? Cái gì? Đó. Đâu, cái nghe đó. Cái nghe hỏng sao sửa được không? Sửa bằng mắt. Nhà anh có mà nhưng mà nó hỏng rồi. Bây giờ mình sẽ tiếp tục đi tô màu nha các bạn. Tô đó. ta tình này bây giờ mình sẽ tiếp tục đi câu hỏi các bạn.
Cái máy ở máy tính ai rút ra?
Máy 4
Máy nào rút ra xóa máy đấy đi.
máy 4
Hai cái đấy anh tải cái đấy tải lên rồi. Xóa chưa? Máy này nữa là máy cục cồi này.
mình chưa
Xóa đi.
vâng. Thành viên anh nhon
Đó là hai máy.
mà em đã quay xong anh đã tải đi.
Anh chưa cho nó nhanh sau 80 cái thì nó còn cố sau.
Sau em không nhớ em làm được bao nhiêu video.
Video đoạn trước là bà
Tôi em bảo anh quên.
ở đây mới có hai mấy nữa đâu. Anh nhớ là long nó để đây là nghe có số thấy không?
Một con ngồi chơi liên quân nên mình chơi game ba mẹ chơi liên quân này à đâu chơi bia chơi bia là nó mệt chơi bia là thích nó chơi tất thu cái sạch tiền nghe nhạc hay tình ngủ luôn.
Còn có hai con bé không? Con bé anh Long còn bé.
Mỏi quá.
Tổ này là xã mà cột nhà đó. Tổ này ok, đủ tiền đâu cơ.
Vậy là mình đã tô màu xong các bạn.